right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are going to start a new chapter today. Now, for me today, I'm putting December 2nd, 2018, but this might be 2026 for all I know. Depends on when you're listening to this video. So put the date that works best for you. So for now, I'll just leave it blank, just in case you have a different date. The title of today's chapter is Ecology, and it is, are we cool? Question mark. That's how you should say it, okay? Say it to yourself. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can say that to yourself. Are we cool? Imagine yourself talking to someone else, probably the same species. Imagine yourself talking to a friend, and you just got through some drama, and you're trying to get over it, right? You want to end the drama. You want to make sure everybody can be happy again. And you look at your friend and you say, are we cool? And you hope that they say, yes, we are cool. That's the name of this chapter. It's about getting along or having conflicts. It's about eating each other. It's about making sure that everybody is getting along, and hopefully you as a species are doing well and you have good populations. So we're just having a little fun, of course, with our title. And then finally, what page in your notebook are you going to put this? So make sure you pick the right page for it, and then make a pocket for this new chapter, Ecology. Are we cool? The human species has a huge population. One of the things we're going to be thinking about as we enter chapter 4, or Ecology, are we cool, is conflicts. Because as we have more and more of our population, we find it easier and easier, because there's so many of us in our population, to have conflicts. You may be thinking, I go each day with conflicts. Maybe you try to avoid it. Question is, we're going to be exploring these ideas in this chapter because there's so many of us that conflicts happen all the time. And of course, it happens for other species too. All right, that great cartoon about conflicts was brought to you by Breakthrough Marketing. Do a fantastic job. Keep it up. Of course, competition and conflicts aren't just among the human species. We have lots of different organisms in nature that are constantly interacting and trying to get what they need to survive. And you can see there's lots of different species in this African Serengeti image. We have populations of elephants, population of zebra, and populations of gazelles. Now, each member of a species is competing with other organisms and maybe even individuals in their own species. Giraffes compete against giraffes, and elephants compete against elephants to get what they need. But there's also, of course, competition between other species, or interspecies competition. And of course, the populations are always determined by the predators in that environment. So we have a lot of species interacting in nature, just like we have a lot of humans on the planet and our human population interacting. The question is what is overall affecting the sizes of our populations? And that's what we're going to be studying for this chapter is, what decides when a population is booming? And what decides if a population is declining? That is the beginning of this chapter. All right, so let's get focused. This is slide 2 of Ecology. Are we cool? These people don't look like they're cool. Looks like they're not getting along at all. I'll tell you what, the closer you live to people, the more you may have conflict. So let's look at this. Let's think about this. Let's think about the fact that we have these big human populations in our city. You might live right in the middle of the city. You can see how close these buildings are. Or you might live up in the hills. A lot of our students in Burbank, they live on the hills just above Burbank City. The homes are more spread out. They have more space and resources to separate people. So they get a little more room for themselves. So you have people living in high density, crowded, like over here. This is high density. Then you have people living in more stretched out rural areas like up in the hills above Burbank. And you would say they have lower density, less crowding. So in your notebook, make sure you write slide 2. And then let's answer this question. It says connect density. So how close people live together. This is high density and this is low density. Connect the idea of density to your own comfort and survival. All right, so let's think about this. How comfortable does it make you to live really close to other people? Would you like more space? Would you like to live in a place like this where you're more spread out? It's a good question. Here's reasons why, or variables that might affect how comfortable or how well you survive in a situation. So things to think about. Most people want to reproduce or engage in sexual activities when you're at the right age with parent approval. And it's hard to engage in reproductive acts if there's no one around you. The next thing is space. How much space do you want for yourself? Do you mind conflicts? Can you handle them well, or is it stressful for you? So what kind of density would allow you to avoid conflicts? Get the space you want. Is friendships important? Do you like being social? If so, you might be okay with a high density place. So relationships are easier maybe if you live in high density. Maybe. Depends on how nice people are around you. So, your choice. So, in your notebook, you would write down this sentence structure. It says a blank density of people causes. So what would you prefer, a low density or a high density? So would you like to live in an uncrowded place or a crowded place? You put a blank density, so choose low or high density of people causes. And then based on what you chose here, you would either say a low density causes comfort or survival. Choose one of these. Or if you chose a high density, you would choose makes you more comfortable or less. So you're going to say if a low or high density of people causes, and you're going to say it makes you more comfortable or creates some survival issues because, and then right here, choose one of these reasons, one of these variables here, choose one of these as your reason why it either makes you more comfortable or causes survival issues. So you would write because of reproduction, space, conflict, community, or relationships. But you need to add a little more than just say the word. All right, good luck with slide 2. All right, so this whole chapter, are we cool? Is all about populations. Look at this crowded place. Can you tell where it is? Study this photo. Pause it. See if you can figure out which part of the world you think this is. This is a high density, high population environment. And then we have this, our local city, Los Angeles. And you can see it's a dense area too. Lots of buildings crowded together. The question for you is 4. We have 4 major problems in this chapter that we want to study and learn more about. We have 4, so let's look at them. So this is slide 3. So in your notebook, make sure you write slide 3. And we have these 4 important problems that we want to learn and study and investigate for the rest of the chapter. And let's see what they are. It says, how can we know when our ecosystem has an environmental problem? So, studying population biology, how can we use population biology to know when an ecosystem or nature is having a problem? Also, when we do population biology, we want to know what is the impact of competition. So, we'll study examples of competition, and we'll also think about, as scientists, we'll think about how can we reduce competition so people are less stressed. We can talk about it as students in our class, or we can talk about it in nature in 2 species competing. Next is, what increases the spread of disease? I'll tell you, I bet you've been sick since the school year began. And it likely happened because we live in a high-density school with lots of people. Places like schools and hospitals, disease gets spread really quickly. We're going to study this and also study and try to learn more about how we can protect ourselves and reduce the chance of catching the cold, keeping yourself healthy and not sick. And then lastly, we're going to spend some time thinking about how many people is too many. Do you think there's already too many people in Bourbon? What do you think about the population size? Should we worry? Should we as humans stop reproducing? Should we worry about the population of any other organism? Bacteria, viruses, predators? What do you think? How many is too many people? So we're going to talk about how organisms use resources, and hopefully by the end of this chapter you'll have a better idea of if you think we have too many people or not enough, or if we're doing just fine. So we'll study these and we'll keep coming back to these 4 problems just like we always do as we explore ecology. Are we cool? Go ahead and pause it. See if you can say it. See if you got it down yet. So this is slide 3. Make sure you copy these 4 problems down, and then you want to create a colorful border for these problems. Remember, that's what we always do. We create a border of colors. So use a highlighter or a marker or a crayon, but decorate around it so it stands out, so we show how important these are, because these are the 4 mysteries or questions that are the main focus of this whole chapter.